Welcome back to Building Foundations for IELTS. You know we love to take the materials that you're working with and really squeeze every bit of value out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're looking at building a really solid foundation
Yeah.
in English, specifically for those of you who are building foundations for IELTS.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to be looking at some everyday vocabulary that you can use in your daily routines.
Right.
And we're going to do this through a couple of different activities. We'll be doing some reading aloud, some explanations, and some questions to help you really actively participate in this Building Foundations for IELTS.
Exactly.
So let's jump right in with this first text that you've shared with us about a typical morning routine.
Okay.
In the mornings, I usually wake up early to exercise for 30 minutes. After that, I take a shower and get dressed for school. My sister, on the other hand, always sleeps in and rushes to get ready. Before heading out, I always pack my school lunch and grab a quick breakfast. My mom helps by making the breakfast, but my dad rarely eats in the morning since he prefers to drink coffee on his way to work.
Okay, great. So there are some really good phrases packed in there.
Yeah.
Let's break down a few. Wake up early means to get out of bed before your usual time.
Right.
That's like giving yourself a head start on the day.
Yeah, and sleeps in means the opposite,
Mm-hmm.
to sleep longer than usual.
Exactly.
Maybe your sister likes to just stay cozy in bed for a little bit longer.
Right.
And then we have pack my school lunch,
Ah,
which means to prepare a lunchbox to take to school.
yes.
You might pack sandwiches, fruit, and maybe a little treat.
Right.
Now you have a matching exercise for this text. So the first phrase is wake up early.
Okay.
Which definition do you think fits best?
Well, wake up early means to get out of bed before the usual time, right? So the best match would be rise before sunrise.
Okay,
Because if you're waking up early, you're probably doing it before the sun comes up.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about take a shower?
Take a shower means to clean yourself by standing under a spray of water.
Okay,
So the matching definition would be clean yourself.
makes sense.
Mm.
Okay, next up is get dressed. What do you think?
Get dressed means to put on your clothes. So it matches perfectly with put on clothes. It's what you do after you take a shower and before you head out the door.
Okay, and how about sleeps in?
Sleeps in means to enjoy extra sleep, to stay in bed longer than usual.
Okay,
It's the opposite of waking up early.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, we have pack lunch.
Pack lunch means to prepare the lunchbox to fill it with the food you'll eat later.
Ah.
It's an important part of getting ready for school or work.
Okay, great job.
Yeah.
You matched all the phrases with their definitions. Now on to the next text.
Yeah.
At the weekend, I usually clean my desk to make space for studying. My younger brother prefers to spend time gaming, but he sometimes helps me dust the shelves in the living room. My parents often vacuum the carpets, especially if guests are visiting. After we finish kiting, we like to go grocery shopping and buy everything we need for the week. My mom enjoys watering the plants in the evening before we all relax.
Okay, so this one is all about weekend activities, especially chores.
Mm-hmm.
And we have clean my desk, which means to tidy up your workspace.
All right.
Maybe you organize your papers, put away your books, and get rid of any clutter.
Uh-huh. And then there's dust the shelves, which means to clean the shelves by removing dust.
Exactly.
You might use a cloth or a duster to do this.
Right.
Then we have vacuum the carpets, which
Mhm.
means to clean the carpets using a vacuum cleaner.
Mhm.
It's a good way to get rid of dirt and dust that settles into the carpet fibers.
Right.
And then we have go grocery shopping,
Yeah.
which is a phrase we use for visiting a store to buy food and other household supplies.
Mm-hmm.
It's an essential part of keeping your kitchen stocked.
Yes.
And let's not forget watering the plants, which means to give water to your plants to help them grow.
Huh.
You might use a watering can or a hose to do this.
Right.
Okay, let's check our understanding with the matching exercises for this text.
Okay.
First up, clean my desk. What do you think is the best match?
Well, we know that clean my desk means to tidy up your workspace to make it neat and organized.
Mm-hmm.
So the closest match would be tidy my workspace.
Okay,
They basically mean the same thing.
great point. What about dust the shelves?
We said that dust the shelves means to remove dust from the shelves.
Uh-huh.
So thinking about furniture as a whole, the best definition would be wipe the furniture.
Yep.
It captures the idea of cleaning the surfaces.
Okay, vacuum the carpets should be an easy one.
Definitely, the vacuum the carpets means to use a vacuum cleaner on the carpets.
Right.
So the matching definition is use a vacuum cleaner.
And go grocery shopping.
When you go grocery shopping, you're mainly going to buy food supplies.
Uh-huh.
So the best match is buy food supplies.
And last but not least, water the plants.
You water the plants to help them grow.
Right.
And a common way to do this is to spray water on flowers, so that's the best match.
Okay, great job. You're really getting the hang of these vocabulary exercises. Now let's move on to text 3 and see what new phrases we can learn.
Okay, sounds good.
My weekdays are quite busy. In the morning, I quickly make my bed and head to the kitchen. I always set the table for breakfast before leaving for school. After school, I help my mom fold the laundry while we chat about the day. Sometimes I iron my school uniform if it's wrinkled. On Fridays, we all take turns to mop the floors so the house looks neat for the weekend.
Okay, this text takes us through a typical weekday routine with a focus on those little chores that keep things running smoothly.
Right.
Make my bed means to neatly arrange the sheets and blankets on your bed.
Uh-huh.
It's a good way to start the day with a sense of order.
Yeah.
And set the table means to put out the plates, cutlery, and other items needed for a meal.
Right.
It's like preparing the stage for a delicious breakfast or dinner. Fold the laundry means to neatly fold the clothes that have been washed and dried.
Okay.
It's a satisfying feeling to see a pile of neatly folded clothes.
I agree with that. And iron my uniform means to use an iron to press out wrinkles in your uniform.
Right.
This helps it look crisp and professional.
Exactly.
And finally, we have mop the floors, which means to clean the floors using a mop and water. It's a good way to get rid of dirt and grime and make your floors shine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how these phrases match up with their definitions in your exercise.
Okay.
What about make my bed?
Make my bed means to tidy up your bedding to make it neat and presentable.
Uh-huh.
So the best match is tidy the bedding.
Okay.
They both convey the idea of making your bed look neat and organized.
Okay, what about set the table?
Set the table means to arrange the breakfast table to put out all the things you need for breakfast.
Okay.
So the matching definition is arrange the breakfast table. It's all about preparing for a meal.
Makes sense. And fold the laundry.
When you fold the laundry, you're folding the washed clothes.
Uh-huh.
So that's the best match. It's a simple and straightforward definition.
Okay, what about iron my uniform?
Iron my uniform means to press clothes to remove wrinkles.
Okay.
That's the main purpose of using an iron, to make your clothes look smooth and wrinkle-free.
Right, and finally, how about mop the floors?
Mop the floors means to clean the floors using a wet mop to wipe away dirt and grime.
Uh-huh.
So the matching definition is wipe the floors with a wet mop. It's a common chore in many households.
Okay, you're doing a great job with these matching exercises.
Thanks.
You're really mastering these everyday phrases.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to text number 4.
Okay.
Our family has a morning routine. My dad starts the day by taking out the recycling, while my mom enjoys reading the newspaper with her coffee. I am responsible for feeding the pets before school, which my sister sometimes helps with. My brother likes to make his own breakfast, even though he often burns the toast. Before we leave the house, we all work together to lock the doors and windows to keep everything secure.
Okay. This one gives us a peek into a family's morning routine, all the little things they do before heading out for the day. Taking out the recycling means gathering and disposing of recyclable materials.
Wow.
Like plastic bottles, cardboard boxes, and glass jars.
Okay, and then reading the newspaper is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It means to read a printed newspaper, maybe while enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning.
Right.
Then we have feeding the pets, which means to give food and water to the animals in the household, like cats, dogs, or even fish.
Right.
And make his own breakfast means to prepare your own breakfast meal, whether it's cereal, toast, or something more elaborate.
Right.
And finally, lock the doors and windows is an important part of keeping your house safe and secure.
Yeah.
It's like putting a shield around your home when you're not there. Let's see how these phrases match up with their definitions.
Okay.
First up, taking out the recycling.
Well, taking out the recycling involves disposing of recyclable items. So the closest match would be dispose of recyclable items. It's all about getting rid of those items in a responsible way.
Okay, what about reading the newspaper?
Reading the newspaper is a way to enjoy the morning news,
Okay.
to catch up on current events. So the matching definition is enjoy the morning news.
Okay, and how about feeding the pets?
Feeding the pets means to give food to animals to make sure they have enough to eat.
Right.
So the best match is give food to animals.
What about make breakfast?
Make breakfast means to prepare your own meal for breakfast.
Okay.
So the best match would be prepare your own meal.
And finally, what about lock the doors and windows?
Well, the purpose of locking the doors and windows is to secure the house, to make sure it's safe.
Right.
So the matching definition would be secure the house.
You're really on a roll with these matching exercises.
Thanks.
Now let's move on to text number 5. On Sunday afternoons, we like to bake a cake together as a family. After that, my mom and I usually organize the pantry to ensure everything's in the right place. My dad spends his time washing the car, which he enjoys doing while listening to music. My brother always takes the dog for a walk, and sometimes I join him. Before dinner, we all help to set up the dining table for a family meal.
Okay. This text paints a lovely picture of a Sunday afternoon spent with family filled with both shared and individual activities. Bake a cake means to prepare and cook a cake in the oven.
Right.
It's a fun activity to do together, especially if you enjoy sweet treats.
And organize the pantry means to arrange the food items and other supplies in the pantry in a neat and orderly way. It's like creating a mini grocery store in your own home.
Right.
Washing the car means to clean the car, usually using soap water and sponges or cloths.
Yeah.
That's a good way to keep your car looking shiny and new. And take the dog for a walk means to take your dog outside for a walk, usually on a leash. It's good exercise for both you and your furry friend.
Exactly. And set up the dining table means to prepare the table for a meal
Okay.
by setting out plates, cutlery, glasses, and any other necessary items.
Right.
It's like setting the stage for a delicious family dinner.
Okay, let's see how well you can match the phrases with their definitions in this text.
Oh.
First up, bake a cake.
Bake a cake involves preparing dessert in the oven.
Oh.
So the best match is prepare dessert in the oven. It's all about creating something sweet and delicious.
Great. What about organize the pantry?
Well, when you organize the pantry, you're arranging food shelves neatly.
Okay.
So that's the best match. It's all about creating order and making sure everything is in its place.
What about wash the car?
Wash the car means to clean the vehicle to make it sparkle and shine.
Right.
So the best match would be clean the vehicle.
And take the dog for a walk.
When you take the dog for a walk, you're walking your pet outdoors.
Sure.
So that's the best match. It's all about getting some fresh air and exercise for both you and your dog.
And last but not least, set up the dining table.
Set up the dining table involves arranging cutlery and plates,
Okay.
getting everything ready for a meal.
Right.
So the best match would be arrange cutlery and plates.
You've done a fantastic job with these vocabulary exercises.
Thanks.
You're really building a strong foundation in everyday English. Now, I think it's time for a little break. We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into these phrases and explore some thought-provoking questions.
Okay, sounds good. Welcome back. You know, we've covered a lot of ground already, exploring all sorts of phrases related to daily routines. It's amazing how many ways we can describe even the simplest actions.
Absolutely, and it's really encouraging to see how well you're grasping all of these new words and phrases.
Yeah, thanks.
Before we dive into the final text, though, I wanted to circle back to something from the previous one. You mentioned how much you enjoy baking cakes with your family.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of cake to bake?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love all kinds of cakes, but I think my favorite would have to be chocolate cake.
Yeah,
It's so classic and always a crowd pleaser.
it's true.
What about you? Do you have a favorite?
I'm more of a pie person myself,
Okay.
but if I had to choose a cake, I'd probably go with carrot cake.
Oh, yeah.
It's got that perfect balance of sweetness and spice.
It does.
Speaking of favorites in the text we just discussed, your brother seems to have a routine of taking the dog for a walk.
Yeah.
Is that something you enjoy doing as well?
Oh, absolutely. I love spending time outdoors, and taking the dog for a walk is a great way to get some exercise and fresh air. Plus, our dog just loves it, so it's a win-win situation.
That's awesome.
What about you? Are you a dog person?
I am. I grew up with dogs, so I have a soft spot for them. And walking a dog is definitely a fun way to get some exercise and enjoy the outdoors.
Definitely.
Okay, before we get too sidetracked by our furry friends, let's move on to this final text that you shared with us.
Okay.
This one seems to focus on household chores and the division of labor within a family.
Right.
I often help a lot around the house, and I usually help my mom do the laundry. My brother is lazy and he never washes his clothes. He always leaves them in a pile on his bedroom floor. In the evening after school, I always tidy up my room. I put things away and get my school bag ready for the next day. My dad sometimes washes up after dinner. We don't have a dishwasher at the moment because our old one broke down, so he has to clean the dishes by himself.
Yeah.
My sister likes cooking, so she often helps Mom make lunch and dinner. She prepared a delicious meal of roast chicken at the weekend. Sometimes my brother puts the rubbish out, but he usually just leaves it by the back door instead of taking it out to the bins. We all usually try and help and do the cleaning. When the housework is done, we always relax and watch TV.
Okay, so this text is full of great examples of common household chores.
Yes.
Let's start with do the laundry, which simply means to wash and dry clothes.
Right.
It's something most of us do regularly to keep our clothes clean and fresh.
And then there's tidy up, which means to put things in order to make a space neat and organized. It could be your room, your desk, or even an entire house.
Right.
Wash up refers specifically to cleaning the dishes after a meal. You might wash them by hand or use a dishwasher if you have one.
Right.
Then we have make lunch and dinner, which means to prepare the midday and evening meals.
Yeah.
It could be something quick and easy or a more elaborate meal with multiple courses. And put the rubbish out means to take the trash or garbage out to the bins for collection.
Right.
It's an important part of keeping our homes and neighborhoods clean and hygienic.
Exactly. And finally, we have do the cleaning, which is a general phrase that encompasses all sorts of cleaning tasks around the house. From dusting to vacuuming to mopping. It's all about keeping things clean and tidy.
It's true. Okay, let's see if you can match these phrases with their definitions.
Okay.
First up, we have do the laundry. What do you think is the best match?
Well, do the laundry is all about washing clothes. So the matching definition would have to be wash the clothes.
Right.
They basically mean the same thing.
Excellent. What about tidy up?
Tidy up means to put things away, to make things neat and organized.
Right.
So the best match would be put things away.
Okay.
They both convey the idea of creating order.
You're on a roll. What about wash up?
Wash up means to clean the dishes.
Uh-huh.
So the matching definition would be clean the dishes.
Okay.
It's a straightforward match.
Great job. Now let's move on to make lunch and dinner.
Make lunch and dinner means to prepare a meal, whether it's for lunch or dinner.
Right.
So the best match would be prepare a meal.
Spot on. What about put the rubbish out?
Put the rubbish out means to take out the bins, to dispose of household waste.
Right.
So the matching definition would be take out the bins.
Okay, and finally, how about do the cleaning?
Do the cleaning is a general term for doing housework, so the matching definition would be do the housework.
Right.
It covers all those tasks that keep our homes clean and tidy.
You've done an amazing job matching all the phrases with their definitions. It's clear that you're really grasping these everyday English expressions now that we've explored all 6 texts and tackled those vocabulary exercises. I want to shift gears a little bit and ask you some more open-ended questions.
Okay.
It's always good to kind of go beyond simple definitions and really think about how we can use these phrases in different contexts.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of questions do you have for me?
Well, first of all, I'm curious to hear about your own daily routine. We've read about other people's routines, but what does typical day look like for you? What are some of the things you do regularly, both at home and outside of the house?
Well, my days are usually pretty busy, but I try to make time for things I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like reading, spending time with friends, and of course working on this podcast.
Of course.
I'm also a big fan of trying new things, so I'm always looking for opportunities to learn and grow. I also enjoy spending time in nature, going for walks, and just disconnecting from the digital world for a while.
That's great.
What about you? What does your daily routine look like?
My routine is a bit more flexible than yours, I think. My work often involves diving into different topics and exploring new ideas. Yeah.
So no 2 days are ever quite the same.
I love that.
But enough about us. I want to hear more from our listeners.
Yes. We've talked a lot about chores and routines, but I'm sure our listeners have their own unique experiences to share. What kind of questions can we ask them to get the conversation going?
Okay, so here are 3 thought-provoking questions we can leave with our listeners.
Okay.
First, what are some common chores that everyone in your household participates in?
That's a good one.
It would be interesting to hear how families divide up those tasks.
It makes you think about the different roles we all play in keeping our homes running smoothly. What's your second question?
Second, are there any chores that tend to cause disagreements in your household?
Ooh, interesting.
Maybe it's something that no one wants to do, or perhaps there are different opinions on how it should be done. It's always interesting to hear about those little points of contention. What's your final question for our listeners?
My last question is this. Think about all the phrases we've learned today related to daily routines. Can you use some of them to write a short paragraph about your own typical day?
That's a fantastic challenge for our listeners, and it's a great way to wrap up this Building Foundations for IELTS.
It is.
We encourage you to share your answers to those questions in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you in the next Building Foundations for IELTS.